Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today is going to be a live tea time with our favorite friend here for TGIF, right? Our guest, Stewart Wood. He's going to be with us in just a second. I just want to say, today we're just going to be hanging out for a little bit. Probably not going to go into this 2-hour thing. It might be an hour, it might be a little bit less. So if you have any questions, jump in there and ask those questions early, okay? Because we're not going to be on for a very long time. We both want to get kind of out of the studio into the niceties of the weekend, I guess. So I hope you guys are having an awesome end of your week and hopefully a really nice weekend. So I want to say one thing, as I always do, that if you haven't downloaded my ebook as of yet, go check it out over at JCristina.com/ebook, 10 tips of making tax sharp images. Once again, JCristina.com/ebook. Anyways, how are you doing? Thank you very much, Stewart, for being here. How's everything going?
It's going good. I'm pain-free at the moment, so things are starting to look up.
Yeah, I know. So you have that still. Is it an abscess, or is it? Are they almost going to be pulling this thing out, or what are they going to do? It's been a while
now.
The
abscess is gone. The infection is gone, but the tuff is still there until the 24th of next month. So yeah, another month, and then hopefully it'll be all
horrible.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness, what's up?
What can you do?
I know. It's one of those when it comes to teeth. I don't know. I don't do well with the whole teeth thing. Luckily I don't have a lot of problems, but my wife has just horrible problems with her teeth, and it's just to see it, it's like, oh God, I don't even know. I don't know how you do it. I know that you have to wait. I think it's been like already 2-3 weeks you're on painkillers. It's crazy.
I've been on 2 sets of antibiotics now. We had one set which didn't really work. Then they gave me another set which I couldn't drink for 7 days. That was a killer. I don't know what was worse, the antibiotics or the fact I couldn't have alcohol.
It's probably the alcohol.
I don't know which one. Which one was worse?
I'm going to venture to say it's alcohol. So, anyways, guys, we're going to get into kind of like a recap of what went on this week. There was a lot of stuff, and if there's something that we don't touch on and you want us to talk about, once again, in the comments area below this video and in the chat window, put those questions or whatever, and we'll answer them. To start out with, I know it's not something that's in your wheelhouse, but it was kind of important to a lot of people that are on the Nikon side. And I did a piece that was called something like Nikon is back in the game. And they introduced a new firmware update. I think it was firmware 1.20, 3.30, 1.1, and finally 2.10 for the different lines for their Z lineup, right? The Z7, the Z6 Mark IIs, the regular Z7, Z6, as well as the Z5 and the Z50. And there was a lot of good stuff in there. I know the Z50 people were complaining about because they didn't really get crap, but the Z7, the Z6 Mark II's got a lot of good stuff. And we were talking about that a little bit, and they did, I guess, the pull ahead a little bit when it comes to the DxO Mark rating. So it was like the sensor got about 100 rating in comparison to 95 on the EOS R3. So that was pretty good. That is not too bad considering, and Nikon is moving forward with better AF in that firmware update. And I know a lot of people that are on the Nikon side with the Z series, always autofocus was like this thing that, can we get it better? Can we get it better? And according to Nikon, they're getting it better. I don't know. And that's on the 26th. So if anyone has a Nikon Z anything on the 26th, I believe it is, head over there and go download the latest and greatest and then report back to us, right? Let us know.
Let us know if it works.
How does it do? So, I mean, I don't know. I know you don't really get too much into the Nikon stuff, but they had this sale going on. And I was looking, I'm like, wow. They took on the Z6, they took $630 off. On the Z7, they took $500 off. Obviously, this is the older models. I call them their beta models. So, taking all that off is fine. I get it. But if you want a small camera, like a Z5, or like even the Z50, you're still getting a bunch of money off. The Z5 had like $400 or $500 off, and the Z50 was $150 off. So, they're kind of shucking and jiving, moving along, and it's exciting, for a lot of Nikon people that have had so much bad news, right, with the layoffs.
So what's the overall added features of these firmware updates? Is it just improvements, or have they added anything new to it?
Well, they've improved AF. That was one thing. One of the main things that a lot of people...
I couldn't get no worse.
Yeah. Well, there was some problems. I know.
Yeah.
When it comes to... Well, they can get worse, right? Because you can go contrast detect Panasonic, but don't get me started. There's always worse.
Everyone's commenting in the comments. They're all going off to get their fish and chips because it's like 6 o'clock here in the UK.
Yeah, I know.
Fish and chips.
I could use some fish and chips with malted vinegar. I haven't had that in a bit. That's really good stuff. But anyway, so yeah, another feature that I really like that they introduced only in one of the cameras, and they're going to eventually put it into all, and that is the functionality of putting a voice memo. So if you take a pic, like if you're an event,
that'd be nice.
That's really good, because if you're an event photo guy, photojournalist or whatever, many times you take a picture.
I can actually give you, sorry to interrupt you, I can give you a real world example from my photography, which I'm a macro photographer. As I take the picture, I can shout out what magnification it's at.
Perfect.
Because the magnification doesn't translate into the EXIF data of the images.
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Sometimes I get caught out because I'm doing presentations and a lot of people go, what magnification is it? I'm like, yeah. Oh, no. So you just take the picture,
Yeah. So with that, it's basically the same as a Nikon D6, I believe, where you just push a button and then speak into it. So like when we do events and we're in a gala or something, you take a picture of 3 people and it's going to go into the magazine. You have to do left to right. So you have to give their first name, last name, first name, last name, first name, last name. So it's really nice to be able to just push the button and say, Tom Smith, Tom Smith, Tom Smith, whatever their names are. And now it's in there on that photo. It's baked in so that later on you just give it over to whoever is the editor and they have that information. And years ago, we would have an assistant, and the assistant would be, after you took the picture, I would tell them, go ahead and get their left to rights. And then they'll be like, excuse me, can I get your name? And then she would write down, or he, the information. And then that was it. And then I would tell her, yeah, that was image 4,579. And then she would put that down. So it was like, whereas in here, you just push the button and you just call it a day. It's done. So that is a really nice feature, and I hope Nikon puts that on all of the rigs. But we'll see what ends up happening with it. I don't know. The other thing that was really big, I would say, this week was the Canon EOS R3. We've talked about it before. There was more rumors that came out. And this is going to be more in your wheelhouse. They were stating that this R3 was going to be 45 megapixels, backside illuminated. It's going to have pixel shift technology, as well as be able to shoot 4K and have quad pixel AF. Now, we have dual pixel AF, and Canon uses it as a crutch. They use it as a means to neuter their cameras. They're like, yeah, we know you love dual pixel AF, but if you use an R, you go ahead and, switch it over to 4K. Now all of a sudden you don't have your autofocus. You have like contrast detect, which is really frustrating. So now they're going to have supposedly quad pixel, right? Not bad.
Yeah. Not bad at all. I'd be more interested in the pixel shift. But could they do a firmware update for the R5 to give that pixel shift?
I don't believe so.
Instead of you having to buy a new camera? Do you know what I mean? I don't know how it works. But...
Yeah, so basically the way pixel shift works is you would take 16 pictures, and then you combined all 16 pictures, and they're moved just slightly, right? So technically, you should be able to do
that's what I'm thinking.
Now with this, so with dual pixel, you're getting your light coming in, and then it's split into 2 diodes, and each diode has a lens, like a mini lens on it. So you got the light coming in, 2 diodes, 2 lenses. Now think about, instead of just 2, you would have 4. So technically you would have 4. So I'm guessing, I don't know if I'm right, I'm not an engineer, you should be able to take 45 megapixels, let's say, and be able to get a 180 megapixel image out of it. I don't know. I'm guessing. If someone else knows in the chat window, go and stick it in there. But I'm guessing that's it. But yeah, pixel shift is. But see, remember, a lot of people, and this yourself. Pixel shift will give you bigger files, bigger images, so to speak. But still, it's not like actually getting more megapixels. It's not like getting a medium format camera and looking at the exact same object. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to be able to get the resolution as tight, as much, let's say. So while it does help for certain circumstances, what I think is the best about pixel shift is color fidelity. You get really nice color. Because just of the nature of the beast, how it works, right? So, size matters, but color.
Another thing with pixel shift, I mean, reason why I want pixel shift is for macro photography.
Right.
Now, you're not going to use it on insects, anything moving, forget it. If you're outdoors, forget it, it's not going to work. But in a studio situation, photographing water drops, you can turn on that pixel shift and move the camera back so that you can get the whole drop in focus and then just crop in afterwards to get the framing that you actually want. That's one real world situation where pixel shift is handy. But Canon are quite slow in giving us pixel shift at the moment, aren't they? Mind you, saying that, I ain't even got focus bracketing on the R yet, so.
Yeah. They just kind of, all right. So with this R3, the question that we had that I posed out there was, number one, the R3, would that stop development of an R1 because of what it is? And at 45 megapixels, 8K, I said no. And the reason being is being a 1D user and knowing that an R1 would be the equivalent to a 1D replacement. 1Ds are always notorious for having low megapixels and that are blistering fast. So I could see them having in a 1D 24 megapixels, 32 megapixels, 30 megapixels, 28 megapixels, something like that, but having like quad processors in there that have a readout speed faster than any other camera on the planet that's getting close to that global shutter where you have that, that's what I see that they would do with it. And they wouldn't even put 8K in it. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I think it's spot on.
You think so?
I really do.
Well,
yeah.
It just makes sense to me. I mean, that's just, using a little, reason, I think. But also I asked the question was the R3, could it also be a replacement to what I posed 3 weeks ago, the 5DS or 5DSR replacement, which would be an R5S, which would be a high megapixel camera, like an 80 megapixel, 90, 100.
Wouldn't it be more, well, I'm going to say, but it needs to be about 8 megapixels to be a replacement for that thing, doesn't it?
Right. The question is, with their pixel shift and stuff, would that to them be able to justify not making a 1DS, or excuse me, a 5DS or the equivalent to?
There's going to be a 1D equivalent. There's going to be.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely 1D. But would there be an R5S? Is the question. With the R3 specs, as you see it, would there be a
maybe they renamed it as well because R5, R5S, R5S, whatever. It gets confusing, doesn't it? As to what cameras for what,
Right.
And they're just saying in the comments a 5DSR would be more than 50 megapixels, which it would have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And the thing was, was Canon trying to cheat it by putting in, pixel shift and doing a 180 megapixel image? That was like the whole idea. I don't think so. I think we're going to see a high megapixel R5, like an R5S. I think we're going to see it. The other thing is with quad pixel, will they then take the quad pixel and start moving it into the rest of the lineup? Since we have dual pixel everywhere. I think so, right? And by so doing, I think they have to increase processing power. That's always the bane of these cameras. Processing power is absolute shites. You're looking at like an iPhone probably being, 100 times faster, the processor, than in any of these cameras. And now that we're starting to get into this AI stuff, we're getting into, baking in stuff internal to the camera and getting all of this speed to it. You need to have, they might do like dual processors to be able to do the quad pixel. It's possible,
Yeah, possible.
So I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe not. 180 megapixels tilt shift out of a 45 megapixel quad I mean, I don't know. It sounds interesting. And remember, guys, so whatever we talk about here, this is all speculation, rumor. We don't know. Take it all.
Take it with a pinch of salt. We know
Yeah.
what Canon's marketing's like.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So how it all comes out, I don't know. But we'll see. Ends up how, we're Canon guys, but I personally like every camera, and every time something comes out that looks fantastic, I'm like I jump right into it because it's just great. Some of these companies are really starting to get on the ball.
I always get skeptical until we actually have the thing on the market. And independent YouTubers. I'm not talking about ambassadors because they talk shit.
No,
independent YouTubers or photographers, when they get their hands on it, that's when I pay attention.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's see. Let's jump in here, see if there's any questions that stand out. We can put in here.
We've got a few coming in.
Let's see. Grab one, and I'll stick it. Just read one off, and then we'll go on to some others.
Someone was asking for an update on the Sony situation. Let me find it. Where are you?
Yeah, let me see here. There's a bunch.
Yeah, the Sony Mark III controversy. Was there an update on that, or
on which
one?
I
haven't seen anything myself.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
I think it's on about the shutter. The shutter.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so
that we spoke about before. Is there any updates?
Yeah, the last time I heard about the shutter deal, there was a bunch of people that ended up having that problem. I'm going to go over to the channel and see, because I know I did a poll on this. I'm going to go and check it out and see. But basically, the shutter was ripping. I mean, that's where we left off with it. They were having problems with it. The shutter was.
And Nikon were making them pay to repair it, wasn't they?
I did. It's let me see here. Let me see. I know it was. Here we go. Sony. Yeah, here it is. It's the class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Let me see. Here we go. So let me just stop that for a second and look at this. So yeah, the question at the time was, did it have any merit, and was it going to end up being able to be litigated or not? This class action lawsuit that was levied against Sony, stating that the A7 III, that shutter was actually just ripping, and they have a lot, not just a couple, but there was a lot of images of this happening. So the question is, will they, what are they going to do about that? Are they going to be able to, put out a recall? Do they want to do a recall? Once you do a recall, things get ugly really quick. Because I can tell you for sure, the Sony A7 Mark III was a camera that I recommended when it came out to all photographers that wanted to go mirrorless. And the reason being is it was a great value. So, at the time, I'm like, this is a great camera. And I think it's still a great camera. So I asked the question, what do you think about this lawsuit? And I have on here, the answers were, I said, one was, I own a Sony A7, and it has a defective shutter. And that was 9% of the people, 9%. So that's that's not a lot, but that's kind of high. And it was like 150. So you're looking at let's say 15
it's high
people.
For such a high-end product, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't the normal range around 1 to 3, is it, or something like that? The normal.
Somewhere right around there.
I think something like that. It's around there.
So as far as people having a shutter with no problems was 36%. People that heard people having problems was 42%, and said that they wouldn't buy it anymore, basically. And then the other ones would say 13% that they would still pick up the camera. So it was kind of interesting. It was interesting. So by seeing, let's say 10%, you're looking at about 15 people that took a poll of only 150 people that actually had this problem. And there was someone that I spoke to yesterday, I believe, in the comments, and they said, yes, I'm starting to hear this crazy sound out of my shutter on my A7 Mark III. So I'm going to guess this thing is going to go all the way. But the problem with it is Sony's going to get hurt with this one, because they sold so many A7 IIIs that if they recall that damn thing, they're going to be just, they're going to have been a hell of hurting. I'm telling you, it's going to be a lot. So, anyways,
all they got to do is just offer free repair on the ones that break. Simple as that.
That would be that would be the easy way to do it. Absolutely. And I said in this video, I said, if you have a Sony a7 III and it makes even a slight little ting of a sound on that shutter, just call it in, and most likely they'll take care of it, even if it's past the 1-year warranty or whatever it is. So I had a problem with a Canon product where the mirror was actually just launching off inside of the camera. They did nothing. I put it out there. We got a ton of traction, and then all of a sudden, boom, Canon picked it up and now was doing repairs, basically new adhesive on these mirrors and refurbishing the cameras. So definitely, the squeaky wheel, right?
Phil's just comment about his Sony's. He's just made a comment. If you want to read that.
Oh, where is it? I got a bunch from Phil here. Let me see.
It's right down it's new. It's right
at the bottom. Oh, here we go. Sony problem was related to a certain range of serial numbers. Right. That is 100% correct.
And then he says both his Sony A7R2 and A7R3 have had shutters not make the full clearance over 1/4000th of a second.
Really?
It's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
So that means both you get so Phil, does that mean you're getting a band, like a banding at the bottom where it's like flipping up and not flipping all the way down? I would love to hear that. That's interesting. That's not cool. That's not cool. But this is the kind of stuff that happens, there's going to be issues, Let's see what else we have here. Larry, hello, photography rock stars. Thanks a lot, Larry. Harry says, I just have to say, I have to say thank you guys for just hanging out for a little while, because I made it a point to just go live, and I figured just whoever's around, they'll hang out with us, and then anyone else, they can just watch it later on. So thank you very much for being here. Let's see, what else do we got here? You see other questions? I'll just jump right in.
Let's have a look. Mostly talking about French fries.
Yes, French fries good. The chips and fish and chips, gotta love it. Let me see. All right. Yeah. While we're going through some of these questions, one of the other things that I did this week was I released a video. I think it was this morning, and it was kind of funny because it was a video that had to do with Pikachu. It was like a marrying or a scandal, as I called it, between Fujifilm and Nintendo, which was really quite interesting. And the reason why it was interesting is there is now going to be, or there already is, a Fujifilm the Instax, I guess you guys know it as, which is an external printer, like a little small printer that you can print your photographs from your phone. Well, there's a brand deal basically going on between Fujifilm and Nintendo that created this, I guess, Pikachu type of silicone, whatever, rubber, where you stick this thing in, and they have like a little bit of modification. So the unit isn't different. What it basically is a brand deal and an app that you can load on to your Samsung or your iPhone, which is really interesting because here they're kind of aiming it towards the kids where they can play these games, whichever game. I think there was like 3 different games on the Nintendo Switch, and they can print like things that they capture or screenshots or anything like this. But a lot of people have been using these lately to just print photos and give them to their friends. A lot of brides have been doing this where they'll have a bunch of them, and then they'll say, if any pictures that you take that are really good on your iPhone, just go over to this unit and hit print. Basically, it goes through this Instax printer, and out comes this little, let's call it a Polaroid. And it's something that you can have forever. And the idea here was not just because we have this, scandalous thing where we have this kind of child between Nintendo and Fujifilm, but it was the idea of just printing. And who prints anymore? And I was discussing how I still have a print of my wife and me inside of this photo booth at an arcade way back. We're talking moons ago, right? 20 plus 30 years ago, right? And we have this photograph that was taken in this little photo booth that literally cost like $1, and we still have it, and it still looks the same way as it looked when we got it, like crap, but it still looks like crap excellently, you know? So, but it's just a lot of fun. And I think that we might start going into this phase where people start printing a little bit more, because when you take a photograph on your phone, it could be gone like this, right? How many people take photographs on their cameras and literally have, 100,000 images sitting on a, computer somewhere, but no one sees them, right? They just sit there.
Exactly.
It's like, what's the purpose? Printing is so mission critical, I think, as a photographer, and so many photographers have gotten away from printing. I think it's sad. I
love printing my work. I'm pretty much addicted at the moment to printing on metal.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
It. Gorgeous. I've got one of my jumping spiders printed out on metal. I could go and get it, actually, if you want to see it.
Yeah.
No,
do it.
Get it.
Yeah, you know what? Matter of fact, while you're getting that, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. You go do that. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So this is what it looks like. This Instax thing. It has this little Pikachu type of silicone thing, and it prints all of these like Polaroids, but they're like mini Polaroids. They're only like a couple of inches, but they're on like a cardstock. It's like a heavy duty print. It's not like something really thin like on some little photo paper. It's thick. And this is what it looks like in the actual phone. So you can just take your image and print it at any time. But what's also cool about it is you can print any of your photos. So if you have pictures of yourself or your family, you can go and take like all these Nintendo backgrounds and throw them into the scene. So really cute. This thing is like $100, I think it is for it, but if you have an Instax, it doesn't really make a difference. You have it already. Basically, you can go download the app for free. So yeah, let's take a look at this jumpy spider. So you printed it on metal. It's like that aluminum stuff, so it's shiny, the background.
Yeah, it's very shiny. Yeah, if you could see there.
Oh, sweet.
Get it into an angle where you're not seeing the light bouncing.
Yeah.
And I was like, a friend of mine come round, and he almost thought it was a TV attached to the wall. It was that quality print, and
beautiful.
Yeah, I absolutely love printing my work out on metal. I'm going to try some glass ones as well, because that seems to be an interesting medium to print on.
Oh yeah. Oh, glass is beautiful. Glass is beautiful for sure.
It's like, I used to print out on paper, then frame, in the ugly brown frame that you always have in the stupid shops and stuff like that. I just went off. It was like I wanted something different. Do you know what I mean? And although it's not on the wall at the moment, I've got to wait till the charging station's up, which I am getting around to getting done eventually. But then I'm going to put that above the charging station. I don't think I'll RGB it, but you never know.
Oh,
I do like these metal prints. They really, really are good quality. Yeah, they cost a bit of $1 though. But
they are. Yeah, they're not cheap.
The thing is, right, if you've got a really good image that you really like, don't cheap out on the printing. Don't go to some printer place that prints your stuff out on a canvas for £10, because you're not going to get good results. Go to a really good quality place. Most of those places, if the shows ever come back, because that's where I found this, they had them all on display at the show, and I'm like, I really like that metal look, So he's able to. They have displays where you got the same picture but printed out on all the different mediums, and you can go through and go, right, that's the one that I like best. Fork out, get that, get them printed. It just looks gorgeous. It really does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Unbroken says he was reaching out to me, and he was saying that there's a lot of new technology basically going on when it comes to printers. It'd be nice to do a video about what's worthwhile. And while I used to print, I stopped printing, and I'm starting to do it all just outsourced. I do prints that it's just I can't justify the ink, and I can't justify it staying there and the heads getting plugged and then me sitting there for an hour cleaning it. I can't do it. So I would rather pay the little bit of a premium to have it printed somewhere. So what I do is I'll take my prints and I will send them to like 4 or 5 different print places local to me. I don't do anything far away unless it's something very specific. But I'll send them to print, areas near me, and then I'll get them in and I'll put them on the big table. I got a big, like 7 foot by 7 foot square table. I'll put them all out, and then I'll actually write on each, photo what it looks, who made it, right? And I'll compare the color, what the density looks like, what does the finish look like, whatever. And then whichever one is best, that's the one that I'll send the work for to be printed. Now, I also do chemical prints. And I only have like 2 shops that still do it down here in South Florida that I know of. And I do big 60 by 40 chemical prints. And those chemical prints are not done, obviously, with a Canon where you're blowing ink. They're chemical prints, just like a little, a 4 by 6 would be printed. So they're not easy to find people that actually do it. But I do all black and whites like that. My black and white fine art stuff that I go and I show in galleries. That's the kind of work that I do. That's the kind of printing that I do. So finding people to do that. Once again, to do that, I couldn't do it. I would have to have a massive enlarger, massive baths to be able to do it. Could I do it? Yes, but it's just not worth it. And all the chemicals and all the stuff, I just send it out.
It's only really worth it, I think, if you're actively selling your prints. And then only if you're selling one every few days, so the printer's constantly in use.
Right, exactly.
I did look into doing it because I want to sell prints. I want to sell prints on my website, right?
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to sell what I call poster prints, which is where you send it off to print for, they print it off for you, and you get like £1 profit off it.
Yeah.
I wanted to do proper high-end art gallery type prints where I'm signing it, I'm numbering the editions and stuff like that. But the cost to actually get it up and running it's in the thousands. You know what I mean? I didn't particularly want to send off to a company to have it print out, for them to send it back to me, for me to do all my stuff that I want to do, like the signage and the editions, then bang on my profit margin on top, and then resend it out. You know what I mean? I wanted to do the whole thing from start to finish, so that if someone likes my work enough that they want a limited edition print, I've handled it from start to finish. Do you know what I mean? So it's something special.
Right. No, absolutely.
The cost of doing that it's phenomenal. It really is, because if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. You can't go down your local electronics shop, buy a printer for £50, and then start charging £500 for a limited edition print.
Yeah, I have thousands of dollars worth of prints that are sitting here that are signed, and they're ready to go for the next show and the next show and the next show. And it's expensive because you have the board that they're they're putting the adhesive down and putting the print on and all this stuff. So it's not cheap. CC Photography says this is why I own my own printer. Nothing compares to seeing your own work on paper. 110%. Someone asked, let me see. Phil asked, which one, which printer you have, and he has a Canon Pro 100S.
To be fair, with CC, right, you'd probably be too embarrassed to send it off to printers because they'd see his work.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Shots fired. That's the first shot fired for the weekend. He'll text me in a minute calling me a wanker.
That's it. Yeah, you got to be careful what you send to the printers these days, for sure. There's a little bit, you need to be cautious, let's just say, because they monitor everything today. It's not like it used to be. Let me see here. Phil says, I've working with that balance of efficiency myself. Absolutely. I know you were talking about the printing on the metallic, on the metal. I remember seeing when I was doing Digital Photography Cafe, I was at the Photo Plus Expo in New York City at the Javits Center, and I remember there was a company there, and the name just escapes me. They come in from Germany every year. God, I wish I remembered, but their prints was so freaking unbelievable. But yeah, when I first saw those metallic prints, because they had them immediately when they came out, and it was just amazing. It literally, just like you said, it looked like a TV. It looks like a TV. It's so dense, so rich, and instead of it looking kind of flat like a picture, it almost has a life on it in its own, because it's actually reflecting off the tin from behind the ink and like almost bringing the ink color to life. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've never done a metallic type of print, it just looks
fantastic. We need these photography shows to open back up.
Yes,
You know,
yes. So we can actually see stuff.
I miss going, because I mean these things are expensive. Yeah, even if you want to print out samples. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You got to spend some money to get these samples. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the shows, you can go there, you can look at the material that it's printing. You can even go and look at all the printers as well and make your mind up. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you not want to do it yourself? You know, I really do miss just going to the shows and being able to look at these, these prints.
Yeah, and
different mediums you print out, and they always have something new there. I think last time we went, I think the last time we went there, they had this new print where it's a round print.
Okay.
And I said to the missus, it'd be nice to photograph the kids, cut out a hole out of something that's the same size as the print, and then have them peer through the hole and then print that out and put it on the wall, So you've got the kids' pictures, but it's not your typical normal kids' pictures that you print out and frame, They've got these round holes in the walls that make it look like they're peering through the wall,
Yeah, I've seen some prints that are just amazing that are backlit prints too, that are printed on like a frosted type of glass, and then they're backlit with like a very soft box LED type of patterning, and that just look absolutely amazing. Let me see. Ian here says, my wife printed a dozen of her favorite photos. I've taken small 5x7, 7x5s, bought photo paper and fed into our home printer. Strange seeing them in a physical form. And that's it. You get accustomed to seeing all of your photos on like an iPhone or on your Samsung phone or on your screen. And when you actually print it, there's just something tangible about it, something you can hold. And that's why people love the iPhone or any phone, because they take these little snapshots and they're like, here, and you can show it to someone. It's basically like old school when you would get your wallet and you're like, yeah, you want to see my kids? And you open up your wallet and this big like 6-fold like comes out like an accordion, and you got all of your kids. Well, instead of 6 pictures, you now have 6,000, right? To bore someone to absolute tears, to see all of your family shots. But that's the whole thing. But to print, there's just something about it,
while we're talking about print, I'm just going to go get something else to explain the difference between phones and print and print. Back in a minute.
Absolutely. Go ahead. So let me get back into some of these questions. Let me go back around to the Canon for just a second, because something came to mind about this as far as printing goes. If you take that 45 megapixels out of the R3, for example, and you went and did a pixel shift on it, let's say we got up to 4 times that to 180 megapixels, you will be able to print a larger print, obviously, because you have more megapixels. But what ends up happening is there is diminishing returns to it, where people think that, yes, I had a 45 megapixel, now I have a 180 megapixel, I'm going to get 4 times the value, let's say. You really don't. Like I said, there's diminishing returns. It gets to a point where all of a sudden, over this amount, the resolution is just not there anyways. So just adding pixels just doesn't make too much of a difference, right? So some people get it, some people don't. It's the same thing with doing enlargements. The other thing that is important is distance. How many megapixels do you really need for a photograph that you're shooting based on how far away the viewing range is? And this is where people get it kind of confused too. A billboard, like a massive billboard, for example, a billboard could have like a DPI, or let's say of 30, basically nothing. Whereas if you have a magazine shot, right, you need 300, PPI, DPI to be able to get something that looks halfway decent. It's always the resolution is based on how far away you are. So you don't have to have a ton all the time unless you're going to print something massive, absolutely massive. So anyways, what did you bring? Show us.
Right, this is real world experience, but I can't tell you the end result because of the pandemic, okay? But anyway, yes. Jesus, man, I'm too old to be doing that stuff.
You're getting old.
You go to computer shows now, and you was on about that you take a picture on your phone. Let me find one that's not rude.
Oh, you can bring those
up. Back quite a bit. There you go. So, you have, I can't see myself, hold on. There we go. So you have something like, this, that you take to a show or you take to a prospective client, and you're showing it on your phone, yeah? Or you've got the choice of having one of these instead. So you take a look at this bad boy, which I hope you can see.
Yeah.
So, and this was actually on advice from Canon themselves, okay? When I first started the YouTube channel, I was really adamant on wanting to impress companies. And they basically said, take your work to a show, don't take it on a phone. Take it in something like this instead. So if you take a look at that there.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so we got it's basically a macro book of all my work that you can basically slap down on a table, like Tamron, Sigma, Canon, and basically show them my work and say, would you like to work together? Do you know what I mean? And from a company's point of view, printing it like this, I mean, you look at that thing. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That is awesome.
It's just far more impressive on print than it would be.
Yeah, you need to sell. You need to sell those as like a coffee table album. You need to sell them.
I keep getting requests for them, but I've got to sort it out. It's like I've got this allergic reaction when it comes to people having to spend money on me. You know what I mean? I don't know if you have the same thing. I don't know if you're further in your salesman type career. You know what I mean? And I'm like that thing there. When it first came out, that was upwards of $300 to have printed out. It's like in my head, I'm like, who's going to pay $300 to have a book of my work?
I know. I get people all the time that are like, how can I contribute to the channel? And it always like sets me back. And I'm like, God, how can, and they're like, oh, do you have PayPal? Do you have this? Do you have that? And it's like, oh, I mean, I could, I don't, but, so that's why I say, just join the channel, become a member, or, buy a product or something like that to contribute. I did end up putting together a JC tip jar on a PayPal that I'm going to start talking about, just so that if someone wants to just send like $5 or $1 for a hot tea, they can do that, because I've been just getting request after request. So I'm probably just going to do that. And if someone wants to do it, they can. If not, then that's fine. But yes, just like you, I feel uncomfortable, asking, but I guess we really shouldn't. I mean, we spend now, just so you guys if you don't know, Stewart has a channel with like 30,000 people also, right? There's a lot of people that follow him, and we give back to the community daily. Every single day, we're doing something that has something to do with YouTube, either doing something back end, front end, whatever, and we're giving continuously. So to get a couple of bucks back after all the time that we put into it is not a bad thing. I mean, if you take everything that
not super chats.
Yeah, right. Super chats or whatever. No, absolutely. It's one of those things that, you can't, it's always hard as an artist to say, oh, I'm worth this. But, doing DP work, like a director of photography that I do, when people ask what the dollar is per hour, some of them really are set aback. They're like, oh my God, really? And I'm like, yeah, really. I've been doing it for 30 years, So there's the big companies that you can work with because they understand what the value is. And then there's the smallers that just, they can't,
There's two things with me, right? So if someone was to turn around to me and go, I want to hire you to photograph something, I can go, bang, that's how much it's going to cost you. Because you're hiring me to do a job. My issue is when people want to pay me for me to teach them. And I'm like,
right.
I like sharing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Particularly if it's a student as well. If it's a student, I'll be honest, I shouldn't actually say this. To be honest with you, I let most students off on paying for stuff. I just give them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, yeah. I get a couple of students, they email me and they go, I really want it was mostly when I was doing the Photoshop work and the tutorials for that. They're like, I really want that tutorial. I'm like, have it, go on. I don't care, you're a student. I've been there and done that. I know what student life's like, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, I know.
But yeah, it's like when people contact me, go, oh, I want this book. And I'm like, yeah, you might want the book, but there's 100 other people want it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And yourself, when you get these things printed out, they want them in volumes. Do you know what I mean?
Right. No,
get the odd one maybe, but yeah, the price, the upfront cost, I should say, it's unbelievable.
No, absolutely. We got a couple of questions. Let's get into a couple of these questions. Martin says here the Sony A1 today got the highest. That's supposed to be score. of any camera on DP Review. What is your take on the A1? I think the Sony A1 is an awesome camera. If you're in the Sony camp, it's definitely worth looking into. It is definitely the equivalent to a professional, like a D6 or a Canon 1D, or like coming up the R3 and the R1 and whatnot. So I think that it's an awesome camera. They decided to not have a built-in grip. I get why they did it. I personally prefer the larger size of a built-in grip, not just because of the size, because I have larger hands, but also for heat. There's a greater surface area inside of those cameras that have the built-in grip for dissipating heat without having to have an inlet and an exhaust and a fan to really cool things down, number one. But also, and that's for me, but I also like that they have mega batteries in it. I mean, like a 1D, for example, literally has a battery like the size of this phone. Just like cut it in half. I mean, it's huge, right? It's like double the size, more than double the size of a regular battery. So you get a ton of life, okay? So there's a lot of added benefits, but it is larger. So Sony ended up wanting to go the way they did with the smaller camera. And then if you want, you could attach a battery grip to it.
Is the rubber sealing as good as the Canon and Nikon's?
Supposedly, I don't know because I don't shoot them. So, you know, if someone shoots
why
the
don't
Sony,
you go buy one and stick it in the show and find out?
Maybe, right? Maybe I'll stick. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you wanted pictures of me in the shower. I can't do that. Like an old middle-aged guy. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's great. I think the A1 is great. It is the equivalent to what we're seeing now that are going to be coming out of Nikon with their professional camera, what we're going to be coming out with Canon. I just like that there's options now, guys. I think that is awesome to be able to have these options that we didn't have before, where it was like only Sony for a long time. And then finally, we saw that Canon and Nikon got off their ass and, you know, got in gear and started producing some mirrorless cameras. Mirrorless is the future. Is it there yet as of right now? Not all the way. I did a piece like about the beginning of the week or something, and I was talking about a few like photo contests, and what was kind of gleamed from the photo contest that the majority of the images that were taken that were winners at the photo contest were shot with DSLRs and not mirrorless. So as time goes by, that will change. But still, as of today, what that means to me is that professionals are still using their DSLRs. And I think a lot of it is not because DSLRs are better, because they're not. A lot of it has to do with value, ROI, return on investment, and the longevity of these cameras. How long can you use them before you have to upgrade? And the thing is the professionals are seeing it as, I don't need to upgrade. Everything that I needed to do, this DSLR does. Why do I just need a camera that doesn't have a mirror? I don't. So I'm going to keep using this. And also glass. We know that glass runs the world. If you have really great glass for a manufacturer for a specific series of cameras, like let's say a Z series, or with the Sony, or with the RF, with the R series, with the RF lenses, if you have lenses that the pros want, for example, a 800 millimeter RF lens, do you have it or do you not? You know, these are the type of things. Or do you have a tilt shift, a proper tilt shift that you don't have to marry onto the camera using an adapter? These type of things. People, the real pros, look at that and say, well, I can't go into that system as of yet because I need these specific lenses, and they don't have proper lenses yet for that series, you know? So there's a bunch of different, areas of comment, I guess, as far as the Sony A1. But I think that the A1 is awesome, in my personal opinion. What else we got here? C41 printing by Unbroken. Yes. I remember. Let's see. Let's move into Are you seeing some others? Just let me know so we can pop in here and answer some of these questions.
I've got a question about gimbals.
Yep. Here we go. Jim says,
okay, yeah.
What gimbal do you use for DSLRs? Sure. I mean, do you use a gimbal? I do not in studio use gimbals at all. Obviously on set we do, but the gimbals that we have are not gimbals that you would purchase because they're like extremely automated.
Depends on the shoot. It's as simple as that. Now I got the Ronin S.
Okay, there you go.
And it's like, I mean, you know, just when you get a new piece of equipment, you've got to use it.
Right.
So
and even though you shouldn't use it, you still use it.
Yeah, I did a macro adventure with it, and brilliant shots. It's absolutely fantastic. But the bloody thing's heavy to carry around for 6 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The nice thing about it is I was able to use it as a tripod as well, though. So I didn't have to keep taking the camera off and on and off and on. I just carried the whole thing around with me, and it was very nice.
Right.
But here's the point. It is the issue that I had with it. Nobody noticed.
Yeah.
I was like, I got all these nice cinematic shots, the camera movement, all that. And nobody commented. No one gave a shit about it.
That's it. I mean? No, that
and
is
I sat
it.
there, right? And obviously people knew I had the gimbal. And then when I had the Eos R, I turned on the in-body image stabilization thing. Is it digital enhanced, whatever the bloody thing? Basically, the thing that everyone trashed because they said it was crap.
Right.
Got this 10% crop.
Yeah, it crops in exactly.
I can get brilliant shots with that, and no one even notices. You know what I mean?
and you can handhold it.
Yeah, the difference is if you're getting paid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference.
If what is that?
Paid, yeah. If you're getting paid, you want to look like you know what you're doing.
It's
having
the
a proper
perceived.
gimbal, it does.
Yeah.
Have you played with that little pocket one for? Is it DJI? The little pocket thing?
Yes, I didn't. I was actually going. So I'm right now shooting. Just so you guys know, I'm a Canon guy, but right now I'm shooting a Sony ZV-1. That's what you see me on right now, and it's awesome. I love this little Sony. Awesome camera. It does the trick. It does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't take its eyes off me, so to speak. It locks into the eyes no matter which way I go. But yeah, they had this really cool rig specifically for this one too. And I'm like, I just didn't buy it because I'm not a vlogger that goes wandering around, and be like, oh, here, I don't have the use. Like I said, when I go on set, because I shoot episodic TV, as DP or as a camera operator. I mean, we have big units, so that's why I don't have. I wish I can comment more on them, but I can't because I don't.
If you get back to the original question, was what gimbal do you use? I mean, what gimbal do you use? If you was to, if a client was to hire you, so let's say a music video, what would be your go-to gimbal?
For a music video? I would probably, honestly, what I would probably do is I would bring in a few and test them out because the music video is going to be one of the things that would be a seriously paid, job. It would be the equivalent of me getting a print done and getting 4 different prints done and then writing down which they were done and then work on them and see which one works the best for the specific need. And also what size camera is put on that. That is massive.
Exactly.
Can you use something small?
Depending on the camera, I don't think it really matters which brand you go with because they all make good gimbals. Yeah.
I mean, DJI makes. They've been making stuff for a long time. I mean, I
can't fault the Ronin S. I mean, I've had it.
The Ronin is a beautiful game. I mean,
2 years I think I've had it. Yeah,
right. What is so? How much weight can you put on it? Can you put like a full size DSLR on it with no problem, and it works decent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can put I had my 80D on it, no problem. I had the 80D on with my big macro lens, no problem. And yes, I have done macro video with the gimbal.
Gotcha.
Believe it or not. It's hard. It's hard. But when it worked, it's beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the gimbal, I mean, it worked flawlessly. It went. I mean, I did it all day. So if the kids was at school all day, it'd be a 6-hour shoot.
Yeah,
I had it on the gimbal constantly. So even when it wasn't a gimbal moving shot, it was still on the gimbal because I was using it as a tripod. It's got these little legs, which I'm actually using to hold up my field monitor when I use for the studio at the moment. The little legs on the Ronin, they're fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Exactly.
I use the little legs on the Eos R. When I'm doing filming there as well, when I'm handheld filming, I use those little legs for it.
Yeah, it's sturdy. I mean, they're definitely good.
Yeah. It worked all day flawlessly. I had no issues with it, so I can't really, I can't fault it. Yeah. However, for the cost per shoot, I've only used it twice.
Right.
So you're talking,
but just like you're saying, is what do you look like? you know, I've talked about this in the past when a photographer for so many years would go on to set and you had a full custom bracket and you had your big camera and your massive lens and you had your speed light at the top, always pointing in a certain direction. You had this big contraption that literally weighs 7 to 10 pounds, okay? You were the photographer. You're the guy with the big camera. That's always a big, in air quotes, big camera. And it's a perceived, you know, it's a perception. You know, you are perceived as a professional photographer. Whereas if you come in there as a small mirrorless camera and so it's once again, sometimes you don't need it. You don't need it.
It all comes down to what are you doing?
Yeah.
Quite frankly, right? So let me give you an example, right? Now, obviously, I've got a different lens on here, and I've got the battery pack on here, okay?
Right.
Well, if I go out with my the digital stabilization switched on, okay, I then have a little lavalier mic that touches here,
right,
and I have the wireless Go. If anyone doesn't know, I can't even know if this is in focus. Is it in focus? There you go. This
looks good.
So there's the little box that literally sits on top of your camera like that, and that's recording the audio straight into your file. Okay, so you got to imagine, I haven't got the battery pack on there, and I haven't got this big lens. It's a smaller lens, so it's a little titchy little lens, a little titchy body. I'm walking around the local pond doing a video. No one batters an eyelid. Okay,
right.
When I have it on the Ronin, everybody looks. Right. Everybody stops me. Everybody asks, "Oh, what are you doing? Are you filming for the BBC?" Hell no, man.
Exactly.
You're just doing YouTube. Do you know what I mean? So, on one end, if you're doing a paid gig, you want to turn up looking like the business. But on the other end, if you're just doing a YouTube video, sometimes you don't want to look like you're doing high-end stuff. You just want to look like some amateur that no one's going to go up and bother with. The worst one I had to film was the review for the probe lens from Laowa, because everybody stopped me. Everybody stopped. And they were like, "Oh, is that the probe lens? Oh, I want to have a look at that."
Right.
And
right.
I think that particular review, I think I got recognised the most of on that particular one, because everyone was after the thing. But I mean, it's like that. You go out like that, and no one really batters an eyelid. But then you put one of these on top of it.
Yeah. And all of a
Everyone's
sudden
like,
it becomes.
"Ooh, are you a YouTuber?"
Yeah, exactly. Something.
So,
absolutely.
If you come across a fenced off area, you jump over one of them. The security's all over you like a ton of bricks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's jump in here. What else we have? Let's see. Stefan says most pros still shoot DSLRs. I have to agree with you, and that's basically what we were talking about just a moment ago. Phil says tech is supposed to get faster, better, and cheaper. It hasn't. Maybe they need to share the resource from the land pass stuff. Yeah. So. I agree with that. Everyone always thinks that, I mean, technology gets better, but that doesn't mean that it always gets introduced into the technology. So while, yes, we have processing power that is 100 times faster than what's in, for example, a Canon EOS R3 that is on your iPhone sitting in your pocket, they're still not going to stick it in there. Period. They're just not going to do it, right? Because it's going to be too expensive. They can't afford to do it. So it's always like doing the least that they can to sell something and then to sell you to something else. So that's just how it is. CC Photography says pros have to think about business cost. Doesn't make sense to change something when it still works. Eats into profit. Absolutely, 100% bang on right there. That is, kind of the skinny of it.
That's why I haven't upgraded to an R5 yet, and I haven't got use for it.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's like, don't upgrade.
Don't get me wrong, there's features on it I would like. The 8K I would like for filming macro, because again, you can step back and crop in.
Right.
The higher megapixel, it's okay, but is it $4,000 worth for those two little options I want? And I'm quite happy with my EOS R,
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
In the future, I'll upgrade, but I'd have to have a shit ton of money in the bank to upgrade. You know what I mean? At the moment,
it's true.
I'm just
Absolutely. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay, so guys, I just want to let you know that we're going to cut it probably like in about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 the most, because we're just over an hour. I don't like to take them too much longer than an hour. In this way, Stewart can get out there and go and I start out your weekend a little early, and maybe I'll go and grab some Kraken or something, because we know how much I love that.
So I'll probably jump on Discord, take the piss out of CC first, and then jump in the hot tub.
There you go. That works. That'll do it. But anyways, there's one other thing that we can jump into before we go, and that is something that you brought to my attention. And I'm going to go and bring this up real quick. Let me go and switch over to the desktop view. And this right here is that brand new Mac, that 24-inch Mac that we were talking about earlier today. And it's kind of interesting. It looks kind of weird, I guess. It's starting out at $1,299, and it says that it's going to be available second half of May, so I guess the end of May. But look at this thing. It's kind of weird looking, I guess. It's got this weird bezel thing.
It looks like a computer I would buy my 8-year-old.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's that kid's company? Was it Fisher Price, is it?
Yeah.
It's an Apple computer built by Fisher Price.
It's just so strange. They made it into. It almost reminds me of like the very first iMacs. Do you remember those? Like way back in the day,
yeah.
It looked like a head. So if this wasn't dead flat and you see it here just straight on, it almost has that look. It's almost like kid-like. I don't know. And maybe it's the color. I think it's not even the color.
You look
I think
at
it's
the one
bezel.
behind you. You look at the one behind you. That looks like a professional piece of gear.
Yeah, so that's the
thing, especially in certain colours, just looks like a kid's toy sitting on the desk. I'm like, oh god,
it's very strange. I know. I mean, this one behind me is the 27-inch, and I love the hell out of that thing.
This is not a replacement for the 27-inch, in case anyone's wondering. This is actually a new 24-inch.
Right. This is the 24-inch.
Yeah. Yeah, the 27-inch is still available, so I'd go and grab that quickly before they replace
before they do this to it. I mean, it is ultra thin.
You know what you want to do? You want to get yourself a broken 27-inch one, take the bezel off the front, and then stick it on the front of this one.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you're gonna get the new chipset, right? You're gonna get the new silicon, right? So you're gonna get the
internals.
M1.
No, there's no argument about the internals apart from being beta.
Look, it's got 1080p FaceTime. That's always good. What else we got here? Studio quality mic, so it's got a better mic in it. I mean, that's always good.
I'd like to see that, to be honest with you.
It says it has six speaker sound system. Where in the hell did they put 6 speakers in this thing? Look at this thing. I don't know how they stuff it in there, but
it's probably an add-on accessory that's going to cost you $1,000.
They do that. Yeah, every time you add like a little bit of RAM, it's like $1,000. What else they got in here? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, of course, you have the M1. Okay, so all right, between you and me and the lamp pole, I have to say, I am not, guys. I never have been, nor will I ever be a beta tester for any company. I just have a problem when it comes to taking Gen 1 anything on. I don't remember. There's only been a couple of cameras in history that I've ever bought, and I've bought probably 20 plus, that I've actually bought the first generation. I just don't. Even with like the R5, I want to see an R5 Mark II, and then maybe, and it's once again, maybe. I just don't want to get into stuff that is just beta testing for a company. You find all the problems, you tell them what the problems are, and then they fix it for the next guy that buys the, revision 2. I want to be the guy that buys revision 2. So, that's why I think the M1 chipset is good. I want to see the M2. I also want to see a lot more companies or a lot more software companies start bringing in that silicon and supporting that silicon. So it's compatible. That would be kind of nice, right? I mean,
CC Photography says, looks like the new iMac is aimed at cool kids with rich parents.
Yeah.
We have got a good question if you want to hang around for another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question from Jim that says rental gear versus owning gear.
Yes. Okay.
I think you probably got more experience at that than me.
Yeah.
I've only ever rented 2 lenses.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So whenever we do, okay. So if I'm doing the episodic stuff that's going to be on set where I'm doing DP or if I'm running a camera or whatever it is, okay, the gear that we have is the gear that we have, and it'll be there for the entire show season because nothing can change. Backgrounds can't change, lighting can't change. Everything has to be built and it stays the same. That's just how it works, okay? There has to be continuity. That's why the actors and actresses that are in the shows, their hair never changes either because it's just how it has to be. Now, if we're doing, like you were talking about, like a music video, all right? At that point, or if I'm doing a fashion shoot, or if I'm doing anything like that, I will rent in gear based on the production, what needs to be done. So if it's something that's going to be a fashion-oriented shoot, most of the time they want medium format. I'll bring in a couple of Hasselblads and all of the lenses that we need for that specific shoot, and then that's it. If it's going to be video, we'll bring in a red, we'll bring in an R, whatever it is that we need for that specific shoot, we'll bring it in to be able to get the image or get the video. So I like to rent. And that's why I do not have a medium format camera here in studio, because they've always been $40,000 plus $50,000, and the lenses are another 20 to 30. So we're looking at a $70,000 to $80,000 investment, and it takes a lot of production to be able to make it worth its while. So we just rent it in, we pay the rental fees, and we give it back. Why? Because the next time that we rent it, who knows? Maybe there's the next version out. That happens all the time. And the old version isn't even worth like half of what it was when we paid for it. It's like driving a car off a lot. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth, $1,000, $2,000 less immediately. So I would say for certain instances, buying the equipment and keeping it is good if you're going to be using it continuously. But if you need something that is going to be for a short period of time, just rent it in. Also, rent in gear if you're thinking about buying something. Rent it in before you buy it so you know if you really should buy it or you shouldn't. Very important.
That's what I did. If I got an eye on a lens, I'll rent it out, do a couple of shoots of it. Do I like it? Yes, I'll go and buy it.
Exactly.
If I don't like it, it goes back.
Exactly. So anyways, you have something coming up, what, on Monday or Tuesday? Don't you have a live or something going on?
Yeah, I got a YouTube live on Monday. I've called it a fundraising live to try and raise some funds for the new PC, which I desperately need. Awesome. But what it is I've put a lot of new products onto the website. I've put them out of stock so people can't buy them. Although 2 people did get in there as I was building the web page and bought them, but
no.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, so they're all out of stock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the new products, what they're for, why I've created them, and then put them up for sale as the live stream goes on. There'll be a coupon code for the duration of the live stream. So if you want to save yourself 5%, you can wait till Monday to buy something. Nice. I'm also going to be giving away 5 coupon codes during the live stream, but I'm not going to tell you where they are. I'm not going to tell you the code. You've got to watch the live stream. You've got to try and spot the code, and then you've got to take that code, put it into the checkout to find out what percentage you're getting off. And I can reveal now that one of those codes will be 100% off everything that's in the shopping basket. Sweet. So if you manage to find that code, you can place everything apart from merch, because I have to pay for that. Everything such as the backgrounds, the presets, and the tutorials, you can put all that into your basket and get it for free if you're the lucky one that gets that code, because there's only one of each code that can be used. So you got to watch the live stream.
You have to see it on the stream and then use it immediately.
As soon as you see that code, the code could be hidden on a layer in Photoshop.
Right.
You got to keep your eyes out, spot the code, and get it. But it's mostly because I don't like people supporting me through YouTube, because Google takes, is it 60%?
They take a bunch.
Is it 60 or is it 40? They take a lot, Yeah, they take a lot. So I like to give the option for people to donate. I mean, if they don't want to buy anything, you can just donate to help raise the money for this new PC that I need, so I can do live streams and get you on my channel, which will be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I can't wait. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, and so I just basically brought forward the release date of some new texture packs that was going to be released in the summer, and just say, if you want to support the channel, you want to help me out, go out, buy my presets or buy the background, But yeah, we are going to be doing a live. I'm going to try doing some live editing if the PC can keep up. I might have to lower the bandwidth on it a little bit.
Right.
Work,
Right.
Yeah. I want to be able to do what we're doing here, where we just do live streams do interviews, stuff like that. But to do that, I need a new PC. So
yeah,
the potato is dying. I mean, I've still got the side off the case here. I mean, these the side of the case.
So, okay, talking about your potato, don't throw the potato away. I'm working on a book. And that book is going to be basically like taking your old potato and turning it into an Unraid server where you can actually back up your entire digital life. Okay, so
I'll add it to the list of suggestions because we've got suggestions in my Discord server. I don't know if you know, I've got my own Discord server anyway.
Yes, yes.
We had a couple of suggestions. The top suggestion, believe it or not, is to turn the old case into a spider enclosure.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be interesting, you know what I mean? But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, see what you do with it. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So, but anyways, guys, I just wanted to, come on here live with Stewart, talk about what is the skinny for the week. And I think we covered up a whole bunch of stuff, for sure. There's a whole bunch of stuff we talked about. And in the comment area below this video, definitely let us know, anything else that you want us to talk about, or if you have any questions, put them down there. The last couple of weeks, Stewart's been nice enough to be able to come on with us and have these chats live. So hopefully we can do this in the future. And maybe we can go over to his channel and once he gets that new computer.
Hopefully. Once that new PC gets done, we can do that. Yeah.
That would be absolutely awesome to be able to do that. So that's really about it. So if you guys have not went over to my website, I always tell you guys, go over to JCristina.com. Since you've been here all the way to the duration, there's probably only a few of you left. Use promo code YT20 and you'll get 20% off everything that's in your shopping cart. And if you don't want to pick something up over at JCristina.com, all of my products are over at B&H Photo and Video, as well as Amazon. So you can buy them through Prime. I'm sorry you can't buy them over there in the UK through Prime because we don't even want to get into that. I will not. No. This video will go from 1 hour and 15 to 1 hour and 30 real quick. So, but anyway, sorry to say, just can't from over there. But anyways, thank you so much, Stewart, for being here. It was really awesome to be able to have you on.
Thank you for having me again. I do enjoy these lives.
Yeah, they're fun. They're absolutely fun.
Especially on your channel, because I can play up on your channel, whereas I can't on mine.
You can swear, you can do whatever. I get demonetized. Doesn't matter. It's not your damn channel. Whatever.
Screw it.
That's it. Screw it. Exactly. Anyways, many blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See you later.
Take care.